there was a possibility they could come out flat in Florida and the series was over. But we also looked, as we often do on Boston Has Entered the Chat, at both sides of the coin. And the other side of the coin that we talked about was, hey, you got nothing to lose at this point. Just leave it all out on the ice, so to speak, to use a cliche. And they did that. The things you can control, hustling, right? Beating the Panthers to the puck, physicality, all those things were there last night, and that's why the Bruins were able to survive. You brought up McAvoy not having any shots in this series until last night.
Blew my mind.
So he has a goal. He has the assist. He took 6 shots on the goal. He was active. I look at ever since he got that shiner, George, it woke up the beast in this guy. And here he is. At the moment you need him the most, he comes through for you. And remember, the goal that he scored was on an unsuccessful challenge from the Panthers on the goalie interference. And you and I joked about it, but it's like if that held and that goalie interference was called there, Boston was going to riot. Mm-hmm. It was not going to be Boston Has Entered the Chat. We were going to change the name for this show because it would have gone mad out here in these streets. Luckily, obviously the call was right, unlike the other game. We won't even go there the other night. But fans on Twitter, had their way with this goalie interference nonsense, and I loved it. George, I was here for it. Look at this. I see no problem here, GIF. I love this. The Situation Room in Toronto when deciding goalie interference calls. Honestly, at this point, you should have at whatever you want with these idiots looking at these reviews, but they at least got this one right, George.
That was, you see it in quick time, you're like, that might be goal interference. Danton Heinen getting into the crease, but he's out of there.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky resets.
Right.
Shot's not even out yet, and Heinen gets out of there, doesn't touch him.
Yes.
And everyone's going to go with, well, he got his stick smacked out of his hand. His own defenseman hit the stick out of his hand. Right. Or if it's Sergei Bobrovsky, as we've seen from past games, wouldn't be surprised if any little bit of content, he dropped a stick on his own to sell a flop.
Sure.
That's how he's been playing this series. It wasn't goal interference. That was the right overturn of the review. And to those morons in Toronto that I called out after the last game, good job, you idiots. You got it right.
Andrew Weiss tweeted a goalie interference call that went against the Panthers.
Didn't know that was possible.
Didn't know that was possible. Didn't know you were allowed to do that. The tweets just kept firing in and firing in. Is this just a makeup for the Bennett
That
goal?
is what it felt like.
That's what it felt like. But it was the right call. It also felt like the right call, right?
It wasn't goal interference. It was the right call. But you see that and you go, yeah, I guess they feel bad for Boston at a certain point. Maybe they didn't think it would swing the game like that. But deciding on the game-winning goal, that was huge.
Tweets, keep them fired up. Another blown review. Interesting there, huh?
Must be from Florida, I guess.
It must be.
One of the 5 Florida Panthers fans in the world.
I've never met one. P. Mason tweets, I swear these reviews are becoming worse than the NFL's pass interference reviews.
Everyone's going to have that. I'm assuming that's not a Bruins fan saying that one. It was a quick review,
Yeah.
They're probably a fan of another Original Six franchise or something, so they know hockey.
Ranger fan.
That's what our producer's telling us?
Ranger fan. Okay, fair enough. Look, they've been weighing in a lot on Bruins problems.
You know what, though?
Mind your business, Ranger fans.
But it comes out. Let's also talk a little bit about Morgan Geekie. 25 years old.
Yeah.
His 3rd goal of the playoff. That's now a career high in a playoff postseason for him. 3 goals, 1 assist. He had a goal in Game 1 against the Panthers, Game 5, both wins, and a goal in Game 7.
Right.
He had the opening goal of the night to give him that 1-0 lead. And that was a great find by Jake DeBrusk to get him right in front of the net. A little dangle goes backhand by Sergei Bobrovsky. Just takes him out of his skates. Again, it's these guys, these depth players. Morgan Geekie stepping up. Charlie McAvoy having his best game of his series. Pavel Zacha, 12-6 in the playoff circle, in the faceoff circle, winning puck possession. The Bruins were plus 14 in hits on the ice. They came out. They played physical. They had so many high-danger chances. So actually, credit to Sergei Bobrovsky to a certain point. Pasternak on that breakaway, right in front of the net, doesn't get it. Jake DeBrusk came up short. And that's when the game gets tight. And I'm thinking, Momentum swinging the Panthers' way.
Yep.
They had a 6-on-5
Here we go
situation,
again, right?
pulling the goalie with 2.5 left.
Yep.
Even that last
The
look,
last look.
cross ice. Who is it to? Reiner.
Yep.
And Jeremy Swayman just stumps him with just under 10 seconds left. I thought that was it. But there was a game-winning goal by Charlie McAvoy and a game-saving save by Jeremy Swayman. 28 saves tonight.
28 on 29 shots.
1.24 saves above expected.
Bro, this guy's unreal all playoffs long.
966 save
Even the one
percentage.
game he gave up more than 4 goals. Remember
They weren't
that?
helping him.
That was
He wasn't getting help from the guys
that's
in
right.
front of
That
him.
was an outlier.
Think about 38 saves game 1, 38 saves game 4. Comes out and plays like this to force a game 6.
All of the Maple Leaf series.
Oh, I mean, yes.
Right?
The best goaltender still in the playoffs right now. How's you thinking?
Uh-oh.
I mean, Swayman's the guy. He's the guy from this point on. But how's you thinking? Game 6, comes back home. Marchand's back. If he's back.
Yeah.
Can the Bruins push it to 7?
And
then in game 7, as we saw last year,
sure.
anything happens.
Anything can happen. So, look.
Is there belief back in Boston?
Well, here's the deal. When they lost the last game, we talked about this.
It was dead. It was
And
gone.
we said...
Everyone was done.
And we said it was cliche to say, but it was true of, you are now forced to live the cliche of, you got to take it one game at a time, right? You have to. Because there's no wiggle room here. So, look, you win game 5, you force a game 6... You got to win game 6 to get to 7. So as cliche as it is, that's exactly what has to happen here. The Bruins cannot, here, it's something you said that I actually keyed in on. When you were talking about how the refs fleeced the Bruins, right, in game 4, and Jim Montgomery post-game tried to stay locked in and just move on to game.
Didn't give a life, didn't talk on it,
So
nothing.
it moved on to game 5, right?
Yeah.
That is, it's so interesting because in the heat of the battle, in the emotion that was game 4, when all that happened, remember, even when they got fleeced by the refs, the Bruins still had the lead. But because you're so caught up in the moment, it was impossible. So I'm not blaming anyone here, but it was impossible.
Champions have to bounce back.
You do, but
They have
it was mission impossible to reset, lock back in, protect that lead, and win that game. They lost some momentum. They lost a moment. They were pissed off. It's human, right? And we know the rest of the story. Panthers were able to take advantage. Great teams do that. Now you put that behind you, but it clearly lit a fire. George, all series, we've been talking about the shot differential, the hit differential. Bro, Boston tonight, even though they had less, or last night, even though they had less shots than the Panthers, only one. Panthers 29 shots, Bruins 28 hits. Bro,
Plus
Bruins
14.
49. Yeah, Panthers 35.